Yogis, welcome to your Maya reset. Today's practice is the space to reset. I invite you to create a beautiful, comfortable space for you to drop in, stay nice and warm and cozy. Welcome to keep your socks on for now, your jumper too. If you haven't already helped yourself to your props, we'll be working today with one block and one bolster. And you will begin laying upon your back with your block placed beneath your pelvis and the bolster supporting the backs of your calves and your Achilles. So if you'd like to get yourself set up in your opening posture, and we'll talk about what space means to you. As you lay back, I like to take my feet over the bolster and take them nice and wide. And then just have that block nice and handy in your hands in preparation. Then setting yourself up to slot that cork block just nice and low to begin with today, so that it is placed flat on the lowest point, supporting the pelvis, and then roll those legs forward, extending them. You know, you always have those squishy points of the bolster, and I find where it naturally lays, when you take that little roll, it rocks it into a more supportive position, which creates a little more space. As you settle in, and you might take your arms into an extension and run the fingertips down towards the toes along the length of the mat and close down your eyes. Or if you'd feel more comfortable to go inward today, as we are looking at exploring the inner landscape of your mind, your body, you might choose to turn the palms down, and as you rotate them down and draw them into the belly, we want to place them on the low belly, palms down, and closing down the eyes and settling into stillness. And we'll be here for a few rounds of breath as you begin drawing the breath in through the nose and out through the nose too, without the need initially to control that inhalation and exhalation. Become the watcher and notice the natural length of that inhale and exhale, counting the inhale and counting the exhale, noticing the evenness or the lack thereof, and without the need to control the breath, we simply watch and observe. Now, Nikola Tesla was the one who initially laid claim to discovering this fifth element, the ether as we know it. Ether is often referred to as air or space. And so a quote of his I wanted to read you today as you settle into your stillness upon the mat. All perceptible matter comes from a primary substance or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space. The akasha, or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the life-giving prana, or creative force, calling into existence in never-ending cycles all things and phenomena. And so as you lie in your stillness, I want you to consider your current prana, your current state, and the current sensation of the space within you and the space that surrounds you. As all of these elements, and as Nikola Tesla found, and as we find each time we take the mat, it's all connected. It's all interconnected. But that connection, what lies between connecting matter, connecting atoms, connecting us to each other, connecting us to our breath, our postures, our physical being, and our spiritual being, is ether. And so when our Ether is connecting to those elements of fire. It's elevated, it's emanating bright. Yogis, take 2 more rounds of breath there in your opening posture. And we need to ensure that our ether remains balanced and comfortable for us to reside within, for it is completely surrounding us and connecting us, and it speaks a language within itself. And so today is more of a grounding posture to find some balance within our ether. Let your final breath leave the body and allow there to be a certain amount of prana that leaves with that breath. Keeping the eyes closed down, slowly adjust your Achilles, your calves off the bolster, planting your feet into the ground, and slowly elevate the hips, lifting them up off that block, and then slowly slide the block out and draw the pelvis back down to meet the mat. We'll take that left leg back into an extension to remain supported by the bolster, and draw the right knee into your chest. As you draw that right knee in nice and tight, we'll take it across to the right side and find your left elbow supporting you and just out to the side in alignment with the shoulder, anchoring into the ground. Your right index finger and middle finger will take a pistol grip around the big toe, and then ever so slowly find an extension with that right leg. Now, it's the first time we've taken the hammy into a release, so it'll be gentle. And I want you to work with your breath here. So as you inhale, create space for the back of the hamstring, the calf. As you exhale, draw the heel back towards the hip. Now we're going to take this a few times round, and I want you to explore your space and create space with each breath that you take as you find that extension and soften in to movement. We notice as we move our space and we move within space, there's byproducts, there's an effect. And just as our movement has an effect, it too creates heat when we bring attention and awareness to our space and work to extend our space. One of those beautiful byproducts being fire, we release that fire. But as we release and when we release, it also creates that connection, that bond. We'll take it one more time in that right leg extension. So beautiful. Slowly drawing the heel back in towards the sit bone. Take a hug of the knee and draw it this time across the body. Now that left ankle still stays elevated and connected to the bolster, allowing you a little bit of height and a little bit more play here as you draw that right knee across the body. So where often you might dump in and collapse that right knee into the floor, it's going to feel a little further away. There's more space between your right knee and the mat, and that's perfect. We'll rest your right foot upon that inner thigh of the left and take a little rock and roll. You can switch the arms now and draw the right arm to anchor in and to act as that firm anchor for stability as you take a gentle rock and roll now across the body. And that same extension that we just took, now drawing the right toes out to the left fingertips, taking that pistol grip once more, adjusting so I've got a little more space. And then finding the heel drawing back in towards the sit bone. And then take an extension here. Now it's going to feel a little different. We're exploring new space, not just right side versus left, but that internal rotation of the pelvis, that internal rotation of the hip means the ball and socket joint has rotated within the hip. And we're now exploring other muscles, other ligaments, looking to create mobility, range of motion, and invite that spaciousness to the outer parts of that right hip, taking that one final time on the right. And draw that right knee back in and find yourself squared off with the hips, with the shoulders, and draw the knee into the chest. Let's take an extension and rest the right ankle upon the bolster and just take a moment coming back to that support, similar to how we were before, just no support beneath the hips. Notice the change in sensation. You should feel a massive difference between the left hip and the right. Can you feel the effects of that stimulation, of that ether surrounding you and within you? And you might be experiencing a tingling sensation. You might be experiencing pins and needles. We're all going to feel it differently. You might feel some heat, some warmth, some fire. You might feel freedom. You might feel light. It might feel heavy. Notice what you feel. Becoming the watcher today, yogis. Let's draw the left knee into the chest, resting that right upon the bolster. As you tuck that left knee in nice and tight, drawing it into the chest, and then take it out to open to that left armpit. Our right elbow now acting as the anchor as we take our left index finger and middle finger and draw to your pistol grip, taking a grip around the big toe. First time this side, so prepare, it's going to feel tight. And we're looking to create the space to reset. So when we're feeling restricted, when we're feeling cold, we tend to withdraw or become withdrawn. So you'll know this feeling and this sensation where you want to turn inward. You want to hold something to your belly, to your chest, a pillow, a blanket. We do tend to draw inward within our shoulders, our knees. And as we curl up and close off and turn inward, that sensation of feeling cold, our body naturally has this effect where we shiver, where we shake, and it's to increase our body temperature. It's our body trying to find that balance. It's trying to find the space to reset. As you take the next few rounds, I want you to consciously guide this hamstring, calf and Achilles, your hip, your low back into a deep opening. Noticing the effects of the movement that our body naturally makes. Let's take our final extension here to open the hip and settle into stillness for just a moment. And as you slowly draw that heel back to the hip, let's take the knee in and guide it across the body. And as you reset and take it across the body, you're looking to anchor in now with that left elbow, rolling over to the outside, the outer part of the hip of the right leg. And we'll initially just rest the foot, that left foot, on top of the right knee as you slowly take a gentle rock and roll around the lumbar spine, creating some movement for the pelvis, creating some movement around the low back and the muscles of the low back. And that left arm's anchoring you, acting as your foundations to find a point stable. And let's settle into stillness. And we'll reverse that, release. And taking now the right hand to pistol grip around that left toe. And slowly finding an extension, noticing the different energy now, opening through the outside of that left hip. It's going to feel completely different to even your other side. And just as one side of our body has imbalances, our front body and our back body, we experience these different effects. We experience not just different effects, but we experience the effects differently to each other, differently within our postures, differently within our breath. Our experience is completely unique, yet we're all connected. And that connective tissue, if you like, or substance, that space, that air that connects us all, is the ether. Let's take 2 more rounds, knowing that just as I'm taking release, ether means that we're taking this together. Roll back, settle back onto the back body, draw that left knee into the chest, and take an extension, and finding the legs meeting. Spread them nice and wide, extend the arms, settle into stillness for just a moment. Noticing now maybe a similar or different effect left side to right side. Take 2 rounds of breath to really enjoy it, to really experience it, and to really hit that reset button. Well done, yogis. Let's draw it up to the shoulders. And placing the soles of the feet upon the mat, take a roll to your favorite side and draw to rise. Now we're going to play with that bolster once more. Block stays out of play for this one. You can roll over the knees and find a comfortable seat, and you'll want that bolster back about 3/4 along the mat. So we're going to be taking a similar awakening, a similar transitional move now as to the hips, but this time for the shoulders. So we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop position over the bolster, and placing your hands shoulder width apart, and find the knees hip width apart. Now from here, we often play with the shoulders and take a thread the needle. For today, we're going to be finding ourselves in a double thread the needle. So with the hands tucked in nice and close to the bolster, you're going to initially thread the needle with your left arm and slide it along the bolster, drawing the back of the hand, the wrist, the forearm, and the shoulder to meet the bolster. Extending that right arm, and we'll take the release just through the back of that left shoulder to begin. Now it's an anahatasana variation, and we're looking to open through the heart. And just as ether is our 5th element, it's also correlated with our heart space and the space around our throat. It works in conjunction with our energy centers within our own physical body too. 5th element and 5th chakra, that space around the throat. And as you find your head hanging, take a moment in that compression. And we'll slowly draw to rise, and that right hand's going to slide in first. Press into the mat, take it nice and slow as it is a deep release through the back of the shoulder. We're going to slide out that arm and then reset back into your seat for just a moment. Take a roll of the shoulders, and just as you did with your legs, open the palms, connecting to our ether mudra, placing your middle finger and your thumb, the tips to connect, extending those remaining 3 fingers. 3 rounds of breath, settled into stillness. Feel into the sensation around that left shoulder, around your chest, around your back, maybe exploring and experiencing the sensations down the length of that left arm. Our akasha mudra or ether mudra. Back of the shoulders nice and open. Let's open through the back of the right, slowly pouring back forwards, finding tabletop, left hand to plant upon the mat just the other side of the bolster. Right arm slides through, resting your hand to open over the edge of the bolster, inviting the back of the wrist and the back of the shoulder to connect to the bolster, and then slowly extending that left arm, creating a bit of a lock between your left arm using the armpit and the elbow connecting, and allow that throat to experience that moment of restriction. And as you hang here through the low belly, allowing the spine to drape, fighting the urge to fidget, we settle into reset, to reset the space, to reset the energy within us and the energy around us. And taking these moments in stillness without any movement between the postures, between the breaths. All that remains is ether. Press into the left hand, slowly draw to rise. And take a walk back to your seat once more. Hero pose back at the mat. Connect to your akasha mudra. Middle finger and thumb connect, remaining 3 fingers extended. Take 3 rounds of breath. Yogis, as you release that remaining final third exhale and breath, gently blink open the eyes and take a walk coming into our double thread now, drawing hands over the bolster once more. And this time you're going to tuck the knees in a little closer to get yourself set up. And we'll thread that left arm through first, nice and close, hugging the edge of that bolster. You'll feed the right one through, right one over the top initially, walking that left one through as far as possible, and then threading the right arm across, looking to deepen and through that, opening through the back body and that cross, finding that throat still rested, and finding the bolster resting upon the knees and the belly. Now, if you feel okay here, we're going to take this one step further and invite the belly to the mat as well. We'll stay with the same side, so draw back to your elbows, extending the legs. And bolster now supporting the low rib cage, deepening the posture just a little as you allow your rib cage to be supported. Hanging the head nice and heavy, and as you find you create space through the back body, you can walk the hands out a little further. Hanging here 3 breaths. Let's draw the chin to rise, slowly walking the elbows back. The yogi is working with a transition between the front of the shoulders and the back of the shoulders. We're going to take a roll onto the left side and open through that left rib cage to prepare to open through the front of the shoulder, using the adjustment of the bolster to get a nice high point. And we're looking to find that point that's around nipple line. So the bolster will be supporting the rib cage, but we're finding a drape for the entire arm, the armpit, and using your own arm as a pillow. And top arm extends overhead, the right arm in this case, and maybe finding the hands to connect. And breathing into the right side of the rib cage. You can draw the knees into the chest if it feels more comfortable. And when we utilize the tools that surround us, our bolsters, our block, the tools that we have access to within our space, our mat, clean, fresh air, our oils, our incense, our sage, whatever it is you're working with, it's all contributing to your experience. It's all contributing to the energetic effects that it has upon you, upon your ether. And final breath here. And sweeping that top arm overhead. We're going to reset and take just one more adjustment here as you peel up to that left hand, rolling the bolster now all the way down to find a connection with the hip. And we're looking to now have the low belly supported and the lumbar spine supported. This time as you drape, we draw back into an extension, but we do want to find the legs in an extension this time too. So you can stack your right leg upon the left and find the hands connected. And drawing the breath once more nice and deeply into that right side with each inhale. Notice the restriction upon the left and the polarity and that balance that we've been working with today through the right. And just as you feel supported through the left, and how beautiful and comfortable that is to feel supported, also notice though the freedom that you have to explore and create space when there's lack of restriction. And symbolically and gesturing that balance between support and the freedom of lack of support. Support is not always the best possible thing for every situation. And when we have that space to explore in, we have the opportunity to reset within ourselves, and reset to find our way to a deeper release and stretch in this particular situation, or find our way to a deeper connection to ourselves. Let's slowly press into the right hand and draw to rise, and we'll take that to the other side. You can simply roll to the other side if you like. I'm going to take the bolster to the opposite end, draw it to the top 3/4, preparing to set up beneath the underarm. And slowly sliding on down, you can draw the knees in nice and close for this first one, looking to align that peak of the bolster with the midline of the pecs. And then when you feel comfortable, extend now that left arm overhead, creating a pillow for the right cheek and the right ear. Maybe resting your left hand in your right. Couple of rounds of deep breath. Noticing any discomfort that arrives, that arises. And as you notice any discomfort, notice where it's coming from and whether you're able to play within your space to remove, to release, to reset that discomfort and allow it to become comfortable. Let's progress and find the adjustment with the bolster, slowly sweeping that left arm overhead and planting it down, sliding in the right, reset the bolster, drawing it in nice and close to the edge of the hip, the edge of the pelvis to support the low belly, and slowly sliding out that right arm, that top arm, taking the legs into an extension. And feel the support now through that right side of your belly, your rib cage, lumbar spine, the hip just a little, and the open spaciousness of that left side. Maybe you extend the left hand overhead if that feels okay, and come back to your breath. And as you come back to your breath, are you able to find the reset for your left side, creating balance as you take the inhale and drawing rib cage away from the hip. And as you exhale, surrender and soften into that support, feeling the heaviness of your body. And as you do so, there'll be different sensations that arise, that release through ligaments, through tendons. Noticing those sensations as they are the effect of that movement of prana. And just as Nikola Tesla his quote at the start of class as he was acknowledging the adjustments that we make, the movements that we make as we mold ourselves, transform, as we transform atoms and create different shapes, different objects within space. And space is always present, ever present, and always there. Holding those atoms, connecting us, our connective tissue, if you like. One final breath, inhale. And as you exhale and feel into that heaviness of the posture for the last time, we sweep the hand overhead. And pressing into the mat, slowly draw to rise. We're going to be removing that bolster now, releasing that out of play to draw the opening into the front of your chest. And this time, as you slowly draw back down to the mat, we'll stay with this side, the right side. We're going to be initially drawing the belly down to the mat and extend that right arm out, palm down. As you press the left fingertips into the mat, you're going to allow the right side of your cheek, your ear to connect to the mat. And as we take a roll, we're going to explore the space of your right shoulder, your right pec, and you might find that you have the space to draw that left knee to plant the sole of the foot upon the mat. Maybe for today you keep the legs stacked and this is a deep enough shoulder release and opening for that right side. Either way, we're not staying here. We're finding movement and exploring the freedom. Notice the effects and the sensations as you not just play with that left knee, that left foot with the adjustments that you make, but also look to explore the effects of the movement of your polarizing side, your left side, as you open and take the left arm maybe to the sky. As you send it back behind you, you might find you're able to rotate back and clasp the hands, drawing back to rest, deepening the stretch, just as all of our connections do. They deepen our bonds, deepen the release, the sensations, the experience. And as you explore different connections, whether it's left hand to left knee, left hand to left foot, fingertips to the mat, cheek to the mat, movement that we make, the breath that we take. We explore all of those connections with our physical being, ourself, within the space that we're able to explore, within the postures upon our mat. Ever so slowly, it's a deep stretch. Return back to center, extending that left leg. And drawing back, and we'll create a little pillow, a rest for the forehead now as you stack the hands upon the mat. Hang the head nice and heavy and come to rest for a moment. Just as we did with the other postures, as you find yourself in these moments of stillness, exploring the experience of that right shoulder, noticing the difference between the left and the right, noticing the sensations, the stimulation, and that prana that is both stimulated and moving and free flowing. And simply by awakening those muscles and elongating, creating length, creating space along the muscles, space along the ligaments, the attachment points to the bones. And those effects can be minor, and those effects can be minute, but are you able to attune to them? Are you able to notice them? Can you sense them? For what you're sensing is that energy moving within ether. Let's take it to the left. Extending that left arm out and drawing the palm down. And once you create that connection, arm to the mat, we tent now those right fingertips. And as you draw the tenting and allow the left cheek and ear to meet the mat. And take a roll and explore your space here. Maybe taking the right knee into the chest, maybe finding some little circles. Maybe finding that right sole of the foot to rest upon the mat as you drape the knee open. And settle the legs and become comfortable. And if there's room to play, if there's more space available for you to explore, experiment in, take the right arm overhead. Maybe taking that rotation and drawing the hands to connect as we create that bind, that bond, that connection to the back body, deepening the release for that left side. Equal and even contributing effort coming from that left side and that right side. Maybe your bind, your bond, your connection is right hand to right knee. And maybe you're able to release to the outer blade of that right foot. And yogis, wherever you are in this release, deep opening and stretch ever so slowly, draw the belly back to the mat, drawing that left arm in, create the pillow once more. Hang the head heavy and draw to rest. And slowly drawing the elbows in beneath you to offer you support. And finding a sphinx for a moment as we set our elbows up beneath the shoulders. Spread the fingers nice and wide, open the chest. And drawing the collarbones to open, the shoulder blades to draw down the back body. And as you press the hands and the fingertips into the mat, maybe you take the gaze to the sky, opening the throat. And reversing that and finding balance, we draw the chin down to the chest, hang the head nice and heavy between the shoulders. We'll rest our belly and rib cage upon the mat and place the hands now beneath the shoulders. And we're going to draw back to ripple and find a balasana, drawing the knees in, sinking the hips back to the heels, extending the arms, and taking even this nice and slowly as you pour the body forwards. We're releasing through the low back and finding a counter here for the postures we've just taken. Maybe your forehead meets the mat as you hang the head heavy. And slowly draw to rise back to your seat. And yogis, with the space that you've created through your hips and through your shoulders, the rotations through the spine. And we're looking to now find ourselves and taking a seat upon the mat and taking your cork block, and we'll be setting that one up so that it's at its medium height, and setting that one up in front of you, taking the soles of the feet to connect and peeling open the feet and draw forwards, finding your Baddha Konasana just for a moment. We'll bring that left sole of the foot to rise and place that block at the lowest point beneath that left sit bone, creating support there. As you find the left sit bone supported and the right sit bone off balance, off center, throwing the balance to assist to peel open, creating this open twist, gazing over that right shoulder. And finding that with the support through the left hip, it shortens that side of the pelvis, it shortens all of the connections. Feel the space as you take the twist through that right side of the hip. And the right side of the low back. And planting the right hand to the mat, release out of that block, draw back to center, soles of the feet to connect. Take a moment in your Baddha Konasana. And checking in with each side of the QL, each side of the low back. Let's pull forwards to reset. Unravel the spine and we'll take it to the other side. Right sole of the foot meets the mat, taking the block nice and low and just tucking under that right hip. As you provide support and you create that little shelf to assist the right hip. But notice again that shortening now of the right side, I should say. As you draw to correct and counter with the spine. And finding that release over the left side shoulder. You can tent those fingertips and take the rotation. And maybe you open up using whatever's available to you. And the space behind you, the space beside you. And filling into the anchoring. And exploring movement through the arm, rotation through the spine. We're so often looking for the support within our space, and sometimes when we remove all supports, it's when we seek, find, and connect to the support that already resides within us. And yogis, we're going to be drawing both soles of the feet now and taking that block to sit it up beneath us and coming into a malasana. When we find ourselves even and balanced, both sit bones completely supported, walking the soles of the feet out and find the feet out on about a 45-degree angle as we find the knees at about a 90-degree angle. Thereabouts as our hips are lower, so it's not going to be the 90. Opening both sides of the chest of the upper body for a moment. And from here, if you've already created more space, feel free to draw the feet in a little closer. And from here, hands connect, elbows connect, opening the hips. And setting yourself up and creating an active contraction here. Drawing the knees inward, pressing into the hands, left hand upon right, and expanding the arms, the elbows, creating more space between the pelvis. We'll stay here for a breath and we'll take our final inhale here before lifting up and finding length through the low belly. As you send the hands overhead, interlace the fingers, open up and feel into the freedom now through your low belly on the left side, on the right side, and taking some gentle movement. Now, just as we did with our legs as we were exploring in that pistol grip, I want you to explore your own space here. As you find the space to reset, deepening that left side rotation and drawing back to the midline to the center. Take it across to the right. Maybe you explore closing it off and the sensations there. Maybe you use your left arm upon your left knee as an anchor to open and explore a deeper twist and rotation. A couple more rounds of breath. Trust your instincts here, trust your gut. Listen to that inner voice. Listen to what it calls, what movement it calls from you and for you. Wherever you are, draw back to center. Let's release the hands. We'll take a tuck of that block and set it down to the low point now, and slowly slide these feet in to draw into either a Sukhasana or maybe a Padmasana, and setting yourself up. And you might explore a half or a full Padmasana if you want to play with half Padmasana to close out. You look to just take one blade of the foot to the inner arch, and with your seat elevated today, you might find it a little more accessible as we've created more space. And the support now is providing you more space with the pelvis open. Maybe this is really comfortable and you want to take it into a full Padmasana. And draping the knees, seated upon your block, we come back to our akasha mudra, connecting the thumb to the middle finger. Spine feeling spacious. Your shoulders feeling spacious. Your pelvis, your low back, your hips, your torso. And take a few rounds of breath and really notice the amount that you have actually connected and reset within yourselves. And if you can come back to the memory of that sensation when you started your practice today, the sensation of the space that you were occupying upon beginning your practice, upon arriving into your mat today. And our environment largely dictates our experience. And when we experience energy, we're so quick to look to those that are around us that should be there to support us, that are supposed to be there to support us, or maybe even those that are there supporting us. Forgetting that the primary effect that we have upon our energy, that we have to affect and feel an effect of the change of our state, the sensation of our space, is within us. The ability and the power that we have to move through the ether, to create those connections for ourselves, within ourselves, and surrounding ourselves. Yogis, releasing out of your akasha mudra, extending those fingertips nice and wide. And from here, we'll draw our hands into prayer, creating a connection just here for a moment. Take an inhale. As you exhale, open your mouth, sigh it out, and release that connection of the hands and sweep them overhead nice and wide. And as you exhale, draw the hands back into heart center. Let's take that twice more. Inhale, open. Exhale, release, and take your sweep, experiencing the space beside you, above you, exploring the ether. Exhale, draw back into your chest. One final round, deep inhale. Open the mouth, exhale, release the connection, open, expand. Take it to the sky, create a connection once more. Exhale, draw it into your chest. Settle into stillness. Yogis, it's such a magical and seemingly mythical element, the ether, for that which we cannot see, is sometimes so difficult to understand, but it has the greatest effect upon our energetic beings, ourselves, our physical selves, our outer layer, our Annamaya Kosha. And yogis, thank you so much for exploring that connection between your Annamaya Kosha and your ether today, and having the trust to connect to that space, the space to reset. Namaste.